Welcome to Realign Journey, the unfiltered guide to self-discovery and reconnection. I'm your host, Sierra Sambrowski, and together we'll deep dive the topics that have caused us to lose touch with ourselves and explore ways to reconnect to our true self. This week, I am joined by Tara Kiprik. Tara is a level 2 quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, soul speak practitioner, and a spiritual coach. She has always known deep down that our bodies were meant to be functioning at 100% and that they could heal themselves. Her work shows us that illness and dis-ease is just the way our body speaks to us. The path forward is not always easy, but it is worth it in the end. She has an eclectic approach to her practices, which enables her to help people of many different backgrounds and ideologies. Hi, Tara.
Hello.
So glad to have you. People may remember I also had you on season 1, and we have great conversations. So I'm very excited for us to do this today.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah, of course. We have an extra juicy topic today. In fact, we almost didn't start recording because we were so into the conversation already. Today, we're going to talk about past lives. I know that's a big part of the work that you do in your QHHT. I imagine a lot of your clients, I know when I had a session with you, past life stuff came in. I know that's kind of something that you focus on. But let's start with having a conversation around understanding why is it even important to know about our past lives?
Yeah, absolutely. So without being consciously aware of it in this life that we're living now, we carry so much over from our past lives. We carry over like physical ailments. We carry over patterns. We carry over emotional scars. We carry over fears. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there are like the list goes on and on. It's actually quite astounding, how much and how many things have affected. I mean, think about it. If you've lived even 20 lives, but and a lot of us have lived a lot more than that. Like these things stay with us. We carry them along energetically, physically, again, emotionally, mentally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's really, amazing what we carry over from our lives. So it affects us without us even realizing it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because a lot of times, most people don't even know. But I know for me, even that past life stuff can come up for people when I'm working with them. Because sometimes, like you said, they'll have like an unrational fear about something, or they'll I know you probably have examples of strange pains. I think we've talked about that before, like a physical illness thing. But I know, like, even one person that I had worked with one time could not stand, and it was like an age thing, like it happened like around late 40s for her. She all of a sudden could not wear a necklace around her neck to save her life. Um, like,
Yeah.
I mean, she would literally just start to kind of freak out and like have a panic attack. And
Yep.
um, yeah,
And
when we looked into it, that's what it was past life stuff. But
right.
it shows up in all kinds of other forms. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience, your clients' experiences, maybe that you can share with people so that people have an understanding and idea of like, oh, maybe that's what it is for me?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I almost don't even know where to start because
Yeah.
there are so many examples. I will say some of the, let's say, I'll try and stick to like some really pertinent ones for me anyway that really stuck out. Like, wow, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the physical. So we carry over these physical problems, whether they're like diseases and illnesses that we're either born with, or like you said, they can kind of start at any age.
Hmm.
And when something like that happens, it's usually because that's the age that you were in the past life when
Hmm.
it happened.
Yeah,
So if this woman was 40 years old, probably something happened when she was 40
exactly.
in that life,
Mm-hmm.
and it started up again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say, I had someone, even just recently, I had someone who had a past life where she was a little boy and she had like a somewhat tumultuous relationship with her father. And he was always making her lift these logs and she just didn't want to do it anymore. And but it, for some reason, like really ate away at her.
Mm-hmm.
In this life, she had for very many years lower back pain. And
Mm.
what we found out in a QHHT session was when they showed her that life. And when we asked about the back pain, they said that she was carrying this burden. She didn't want to do it anymore. And that was related to something in her current life,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
oftentimes just becoming aware of it was enough for it to be released. So they explained to her, why she was experiencing it, where it came from, how it related to the life she's living now, and then they healed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, it could be that simple, you know what I mean? Like it could be
Mm-hmm.
like this thing that's kind of like, eating away at you, or like an emotional thing, and then because even now, right, today, our emotions translate into physical ailments and
Absolutely.
diseases.
Yeah.
So it could be something, so simple. I had
Yeah.
another man, he had a deviated septum,
Mm-hmm.
and his whole life, like
Mm-hmm.
he had been to doctors many, many times. It was non-surgical, like they told him surgery would not help at all, no point
Mm-hmm.
in doing it. And he suffered from very bad like coughing because of it, like
Oh,
the
okay.
drainage or whatever, to the point that he felt a lot of times like his lungs were on fire and had a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
problems. Yeah, it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
um, and we did a QHHT session, and it came through that when he was in a past life, he was a sheriff that like
Mm-hmm.
took care of this town, but nothing ever happened there.
Uh-huh.
So he felt it was very unfulfilling and what they showed us was that in many of his past lives, he was the protector, right? So that was his role. And that played out very obviously in this life as well, that he protected people, he took care of people. And in that life where he was a sheriff, where even though that was his role, there was nothing ever going on. So he felt very unable to fulfill his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He actually killed himself by using his pistol and shooting his face. And
Oh.
that's where the brokenness, I want to say, came from. And once he understood it, found out where it came from, they told him how it related to his life now, they healed it. And
Stop it.
I
It was all taken care of?
it was all taken care
That's
of.
fucking
I
crazy.
I know.
That
I
shit is
wish that
crazy.
I
Look, it gives
had.
me chills.
I know. I wish that I had like X-rays or something.
I know, I'm
Because
sure.
he doesn't cough anymore. It's like he doesn't feel that coughing, that burning, that like coughing up blood, none of that
Yeah.
anymore. And he could feel it at the time that it was happening. He could feel the energy in his face when
Mm-hmm.
they were healing it.
It's
It's
so awesome.
so awesome. It really is so beautiful.
I know it really, really is. And I know another healer practitioner that kind of does like soul fragment work, works with people's guides. It's different than what you do, but I know too, she shared with me different, like very cool stories about past life stuff and the physical um ailments and diseases that we can carry in these physical sensations, even like the lady with the necklace, right?
Mhm.
And so that's certainly something you hear about little kids remembering lives. I've witnessed and experienced other people that were like, I had this dream, or I think probably most commonly, people maybe get in touch with a past life thing when they experience deja vu. Do you think that?
I have a few different like ideas about deja vu. I think
Yeah,
one
tell
of
me.
them is, I think for me, the thing that makes the most sense for me is that like right where you're supposed to be.
Mm.
Because
Oh, that's good.
like it's kind of coming in that like, yes, oh my God, I've been here before. Like I know exactly what's going on. This is so familiar. It's like I'm in the right place, the right time, and that kind of thing. Like
Mm.
it's
Yeah,
really
for me personally, I know deja vu primarily for me is more of like a premonition thing. It's not as much related to my past life stuff,
Mhm.
but I can't say never. I can't say never. It's not been clear to me that it was a past life thing. That's just not my primary, but I know that there's a lot of people that think that that's kind of what deja vu is. So I just wanted to bring that up because they're like, deja vu, does that mean I was there in a past life? It might.
Yeah.
And you can have real vivid recollections of past life stuff. Certainly in doing the hypnosis work like you do, or there's other things we were talking about, soul retrievals. I had a shamanic soul retrieval. I know for me, even when I go into meditation, sometimes if it's reveals something, right?
Oh
What
yeah.
about you?
Yes, absolutely. Meditation for sure. I do a lot of like meditation in the morning, right when I first wake up, when I'm still in that theta state. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I have definitely had past lives come in, even glimpses, that I
Yeah.
might not fully even understand in that moment or ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's all about your intention too, right? What do you ask? Like, what do you intend for that meditation session to come through, or what do you need in that moment?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, definitely.
I know, and this is what we were kind of getting into before we got on to here and started recording. We were talking about so many of the beliefs, an unconscious influence that we may be carrying forward from a past life. Do you want to just share a little bit again, kind of about your experiences or maybe some client experiences that can help people understand
Sure.
if that's part of their motivation? Because I think that's it too, right? Like we can do a ton of mindset work and all this other stuff, and sometimes it's just not clicking. Like sometimes you're like, what the hell am I doing wrong? Why is this
Mhm.
not creating that shift or change?
Right. And it's because you're still missing a piece of it, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
still, and a lot of times it's like one of the foundational pieces because it's a life you've already lived, and that
Yeah.
how it's coming forward. Like, um, let's see, one of them, I've actually had myself included, and I've also had a few clients experience, not that the root of it was the same, but the outcome of it was the same. So a lot of times, we people, we feel afraid to kind of step into our power. Whether
Mm-hmm.
that's allowing our intuition to flow, our gifts to kind of be shown, to be seen by the public,
Mm-hmm.
and not even be famous, just like stepping out there. It could be at
Right.
work, it could be with your family, you
Right.
just kind of keep things to yourself. And a lot of times that stems from past life issues or
Right.
circumstances.
Right.
I had one young girl, or young woman. She had a past life where she was just trying to practice magic, and the kids made fun of her. And
Mm.
it like scarred her confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. And that entire lifetime, she carried that. She didn't learn how to deal with it. So guess what? She brought it into this life to try and deal with
Oh.
it. you know?
Like we don't
Uh,
have enough freaking issues in this life that we get
right.
given, right? Like now
Exactly.
you're also bringing this shit forward from all our lives. You're like, great.
Right. Because they're all part of the lessons that you're trying to learn, right?
Right.
Those pieces of you that you really need to kind of conquer, or not conquer, that I don't like that word, but overcome.
Evolve.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
evolve
think it's
past.
evolve, right?
Yes, definitely.
That's that's what I believe is the reason why we come back to. Is that it's a continuous soul evolution. And so if your soul chooses, it may come in to kind of complete lessons, complete contracts, complete wounds, and to evolve to like a higher level or a next level. Is that
Yeah.
what I mean? Is that your understanding of kind of why we keep having lives?
Yes, absolutely. And I was going to say evolved is also a very like it we might not think evolved is what it is. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I actually had a past life experience recently where I kind of got the download that I lived a life in Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
And in Atlantis, I don't know who, how much everybody knows about it. As beautiful and like utopia as it was, a lot of times what happened was the people became so like quote unquote evolved that they started to kind of abuse their powers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's like playing a video game in God mode, right? Like it gets boring when you're invincible and you
Mm.
have all the weapons and you have all the things. Like it gets boring. So you start to do, things to make it interesting.
Oh, jeez. I
But
didn't
that's
think about it like that, but that makes sense.
right. And that's what happened in Atlantis. So I had the download that I was one of those people, as evolved as we were, like your powers or whatever started to kind of take a turn for maybe the not best.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so in this life, I have kind of dampened myself for the fear that I would repeat those behaviors. And
Mm.
so, and so you think how evolved everybody was, but in reality, evolved like by your gifts doesn't necessarily mean evolved mentally or in your heart, really.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
all about like understanding that and then working to evolve past it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, it's interesting too because I was not always convinced about past lives and reincarnation. And I think part of that was because of coming up being raised Catholic in the early part of my religious experience. And so we certainly did not believe as Catholics, you do not believe in reincarnation.
Right.
And yet, and so I kind of just want to talk about this because there may be some people that are like, these two are full of shit. Um, this is the craziest thing ever. Why am I still listening to this? Um, but but the reality of the situation is that it's funny too, because I was a I was a trying and challenging Catholic child. I asked a lot of questions and I didn't believe everything they told me. But I used to think like, well, what's the point of going to heaven if like you just die and then that's all the further you go, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I was gonna say what turned it like what did you have a particular experience that turned it around for you to say like, yeah, past lives are legit?
I don't know. I honestly really don't remember other than I think when I kind of revisited it for myself when I was going through my spiritual awakening and really expanding myself spiritually, just at the time it was just like meditation and crystals and Reiki, right? It
Mm.
wasn't anything exciting, but um I started looking into Buddhism, and Buddhists believe in reincarnation. They believe and teach the principle of coming back as another life again so that your soul can evolve, so
Mhm.
that you can continue to bring in like a higher level of wisdom and contribution to humanity, basically.
Okay. Wait, do really? I thought Buddhists did not believe in
No, they believe in
reincarnation.
reincarnation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Dalai Lama keeps getting reincarnated.
Oh, that's right. Oh, right, right, right,
It's
right.
like
Okay.
the same soul that just keeps coming in.
Yeah.
That's why they sometimes it's a child
Yes, right.
or
Okay. Yes.
whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
How about so what about you though? You grew up Catholic too, right?
I mean, if you had
Um,
to define it,
maybe not
but
practicing.
right.
We were fairly practicing, but
Yeah, we were not. I
anyway.
mean, I was like baptized apostolic, but I did not partake in like church and things like that.
Yeah. But did your family believe in past lives?
I'm gonna say I don't know. It was not a topic of conversation
Right.
until I was a teenager, and then it kind of didn't really matter what they, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just always something that I felt like, yeah, how could we not? Just that knowing of like the soul goes on and
Yeah, the soul goes on. But what is it?
right,
Just go on and then just stay somewhere? Like that doesn't
right.
make sense to
Right.
me.
Exactly. And even if that's what's, I always say like, even if that's what people believe, your soul was somewhere before it came here. Even if that's
One
with
would
God,
think.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, even if
Right.
that's with God, like you were somewhere before here. And
Yeah.
that's how I like to look at it. You know what I mean? Because it's all about what you believe. And I've had people come in to do QHHT sessions that don't particularly believe in past
Mm-hmm.
lives. Some of them have been, like,
Changed.
right, changed.
That's what I was
And
gonna say. Does it really change them then? Do they have an experience then where they're like, oh, whoa.
yeah, oh yeah. And a lot of times what really gets people is the emotion that's tied to it.
Mm.
Like I actually had a young man the other day, and he was kind of on the fence about past lives. He was like, I don't, maybe not. I haven't experienced anything to make me go, yes. And then we did his QHHT session, and he had very strong emotional ties to this woman that it
Mm.
appeared that he had lived quite a few lives with.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like a princess, and like the main life that we looked at, she was a princess and he was supposed to protect her, and he wasn't able to, and someone killed her, so then he tried to like revenge kill that person, and
Mm-hmm.
it just got so, you know he was so like seeing red that he died also by the hand
Mm-hmm.
of that person, but he was so connected. He was crying, calling
Mm.
out for this woman, because he was like, I was supposed to protect her, I can't believe it. And that is what gets people a lot of times, like, where does that emotion come from?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that attached to something watching a movie. I mean, you could get emotional about a movie, but
Right.
you don't feel it, like, you know what I mean?
That
Unless,
kind of depth. Unless
yeah,
it triggers something in you.
right, right. I was gonna
Right.
say, unless it triggers something in you, but normally, it's like, oh, that's so sad, or oh, that's so beautiful, and you
Yeah,
shed
yeah.
a tear too. But like, I mean, people have very strong emotional connections to the things that they're seeing, and that is what kind of validates it for them.
Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes I'm sure you maybe have a knowing or know, or maybe even they have a knowing around it. But you have to think that if you've been carrying this kind of emotion, this kind of connection to somebody, and you resolve it. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, that's what we have to do to resolve our own childhood wounds, like in this life, right? Like, you go back, you process, and then it shifts everything. So it just seems amazing to me because like I said, I've had past life experiences where I've called it in to give me explanation or to show me what I need to know about something. I've not
Mhm,
had like the emotional release about it,
mhm.
but I can't imagine how it must free up so much energy and space in you and shift so much in you if you've been carrying around emotions from life to life.
Right. Yes. I was gonna say, can you imagine, like, and some of these emotions are for, and I feel like people are gonna laugh when I say it, that we've been carrying around for millennia.
Oh, sure.
Like,
I mean, I don't,
you know what I
I'm
mean?
not gonna laugh at you because I'm like, oh, yeah, of course.
but yeah, like and we get, and then we get
Imagine the weight of it. Like I
right
said, you think about the way something starts weighing on you and affecting you from
from
carrying
last
around an
year.
emotion. Yeah, from last year, from last month. Like that shit starts to weigh on you and it screws up everything. Yeah, so just imagine.
The relief that people feel,
And
the
the
lightness.
release.
Yes,
And
yes,
how much shit like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't even know that I can it's incredible.
it is. And a lot of times, it's not like it's no reason that we carry these things around.
Mm-hmm.
I had someone one time, she struggled with her weight.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like she, like carried a lot of like physical like pounds,
Right. Right.
had like food addiction and all types of things surrounding that. Food, weight gain, didn't matter what she did, didn't matter, workout, ate healthy, whatever. And we did a past life regression, and she was shown a like glimpse, when we connect to the higher self, it's the past life portion, but then also sometimes when we're talking to the higher self, they show past life things. um,
Mm-hmm.
so she was shown in succession a life where she was like an Eskimo or a native.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what it was,
Some kind of
indigenous.
aboriginal. Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of indigenous person. No fish, and she died of starvation. Then she saw a
Oh.
farmer, and something happened with the crops, a drought or something like that. No food, died of starvation.
Oh.
Then she was shown a life where she was sent to bed without dinner because of like like an evil stepfather or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bed without dinner. So in all these lives, she had like food was scarce,
Trauma. Yeah.
trauma
It
surrounding
was trauma
food.
around
Yeah,
food. Yeah.
exactly. And so in this lifetime, that carries through, right? You've got all your body, like without you even knowing, you're on a molecular cellular level, your body is holding on to fat or nutrition or whatever so that you don't die.
Starve. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what happens for sure.
right. And it's so you could do whatever you want, but your body is like stuck energetically in that holding pattern. And it's, finding out about it, understanding it, that's what helps to release it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's great. I know. I know.
I mean, but I think it's why it's so important that if you really feel like you've had a repeating pattern and you've tried therapy, you've tried some other woo-woo shit, and you've tried like healing it on your own, you know, and it just can't seem to quite break up. It's not a bad idea to just kind of maybe look at the idea, entertain the idea of digging into your past life stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
What's some way that you think, besides going to a practitioner, that can help facilitate that for you? What are some ways that somebody might be able to tap into that past life stuff for themselves? Possibly.
I mean, you can absolutely try like those guided meditations for past
Mm-hmm.
expression.
Mm-hmm.
They will more than likely give you at least a surface understanding of
Mm-hmm.
something that happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you might
Mm-hmm.
not be able to go through because there's nobody there to like dig deeper with you. It's
Right.
just like a guided pre-recorded thing,
Yeah.
but that would certainly give you at least a basic understanding, of something that might be affecting you.
Yeah.
The other way you
That's a
can do
good
it,
way.
yeah, and really just like set the intention in meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Sit with yourself, quiet yourself. I love asking your guides. Ask your guides to show you what you need, what you need to know surrounding this past life, or whatever it is, and just believe that they will show you, because
Mhm.
that's really the most important thing, is like releasing that intention to them and allowing them to show you what you need to see. Because a lot of times, we poo poo it all away. Like, oh,
Mhm.
well, I saw this, but yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that all the time, about how we think it's our imagination. We're like,
Right,
I don't know. I guess it was just my imagination. Okay, but what the hell are the chance? What's the chance?
right.
Sometimes
And
you got to ask yourself, like, really, is my imagination that creative? Like, come on now.
right. Yeah. And there's a reason that that's what your imagination called forward.
I would say,
You know what I mean?
even if, yeah, and that's what I always say to people, even if it is your imagination is your subconscious.
Right.
And that part is connected to your divine creator, whatever you call that.
Right.
But even if you don't believe in that, even if you're atheist, you believe in your subconscious, it is still your subconscious mind that is pulling that forward
Exactly.
in
And
your imagination when you have
right.
a daydream or a regular dream or some
Right.
weird vision pops in your head or idea.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just a way for it to express it to you in a way that you might understand a story. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. I tell people that all the time, that just take it, just let it happen,
Yeah. I
Let it
think a good way to get in the flow of that too is automatic writing.
Yeah.
Whether you use your non-dominant hand or not, I know that's what you're supposed to do, but I'm not always great about following these only way rule things.
Right.
But even if you just start writing or doodling, I always tell people, even just like start doodling on a piece of paper until words start to come into your mind if you don't want to do like your non-dominant hand. And then just write down whatever you start thinking about.
Right.
Even if it's the grocery list, it doesn't matter. Like, just start and be in that flow and then see where it'll go somewhere.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Yes. I love automatic writing.
Yeah, me too. One of the things I want to talk about before we wrap up here today, and you tell everybody how they can find you. Do you have a guided meditation, by the way, that you offer to people?
I do not have a past life guided meditation, but I have a guided meditation on my YouTube channel
Okay.
for you to create your own like personal sanctuary,
Nice.
for like rest, rejuvenation, healing, like
Maybe we
that.
should do a past life one.
Yeah.
People, leave it in the comments. Do you want Tara to do a past life one for you? She'll post on her YouTube. Okay, we'll get there in a minute. Anyway, one of the things that I did want to talk about, because I think I believe personally that we do come in with soul families.
Hmm.
That there are these soul contracts, these relationships that we had in past lives that we agreed to come again into, and they're not always the same role. Um, but it's deeply affecting, I
Hmm.
find personally in my life and in my experience. It's like that one person that you just know for whatever reason cannot
Yep.
be trusted, or you have somebody that like I'm only thinking of negative examples. This is terrible. No, I have positive examples too.
Yes,
Um,
but even like when you meet someone and you're like, I've known you forever.
I've
I've met you
known
for
you
5 minutes.
forever. That's a good
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking even the ones that cause us a little more angst, like even
Oh
the
yeah.
ones where like you have somebody and like it sometimes even romantically, like you're like, I don't know why I'm so attracted to this person because they're not my type and they're not this, and maybe they're not available, maybe you're not available, and yet you can't help but feel this connection to them. Or like I said, sometimes it's like I, there's nothing about this person I can stand, and I know I have to have them. But it can be our parents, it can be our siblings,
Oh yeah.
right? Do you just want to talk about that for a minute? Like, kind of, again, what do you believe? What is your experience with yourself, with your clients been like? Because relationships affect this life so much. And
Oh yeah.
so if they're coming in and you got to work out some shit with somebody from another lifetime,
Right. Right.
extra.
Yeah. And it's true. So what we have found through QHHT is that the most karma that we're working out is between husbands and wives and parents and children.
Mm.
And that's the most, because those are the closest relationships, right? Those are the closest ones that we have the most interaction more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that I do believe that we travel in soul families. And what has really kind of shifted the way that I view people, the maybe not so nice things that they inflict on each other and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
when you look at it from a soul level, right? If when we die, right, all there is love, right? The
Mm-hmm.
good
Mm-hmm.
and evil that we experience on earth is like a concept that we've kind of created. And if all that there is love after this, if you can think about how difficult it must be for someone to do something traumatic to you, like on a soul level,
Mm-hmm.
it's going against every like fiber of their being to behave this way. But
Mm.
they're doing it for you to learn a lesson. They're doing it to help you evolve, help themselves evolve. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that kind of really shifted it for me, when thinking about some of the traumas that I've experienced, some of the people that have imposed those traumas or whatever, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I know, they might seem like a real jerk in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but on a soul level, that must have been so difficult for them to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I don't even remember the question you asked me. but
That's okay.
but that's
Um,
how I kind of look at it now. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a really important point. I know for me years ago, somebody had turned on, I think that it's a children's book, and I think it was called like Little Soul in the Sun or something like that. And it was basically that same concept that you're talking about. Though you're right. If we're at our most inherent purest essence, nothing but love, then there's some part of them that they are hurting also by hurting us. And so I think that's important. But the concept that was presented in the children's book was that, that we make agreements before we come into this life. And so that means you're on the other side, this little soul, and you're talking with the other little souls, and you're all deciding to come in. And somebody, while in that purest, most loving form, says, I will come in and be the bad guy.
Yeah.
I love you so much that I will take on all the hate and hurt that you're going to have towards me because it's going to make you better in the end. And look, I just gave myself
I
chills.
was gonna say that's like about to make me cry.
Yeah.
That because those are the conversations that happen before we come in, and how beautiful
Yeah.
it's.
Somebody in some form had to love you so much to be the one that comes in and hurts you so deeply in this lifetime. Yeah, and that feels
Yeah.
like a big thing. Like
Yeah,
a big
it's
thing.
kind of making me speechless, like,
Yeah.
because, but I believe that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, if there's nothing else, maybe if the rest of this past life conversation feels too woo-woo or too much for you, maybe just think about it that one last final piece, because it is it's a factor that we have to consider no matter what our ideology is, no matter what religion we practice. That we all have souls, and so there's an
Yeah.
all-knowing part of every soul.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
you got all that. All right, my dear. Tell everyone. So we learned about you have another guided meditation. We're going to rally and pull for you to do a past life guided meditation for everyone and post that on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Tell everyone, what is your YouTube channel? How can they connect to you? How might they be able to explore doing some past life work with you?
Yeah, so certainly all of my like Instagram, YouTube should just be connected to Tara QHHT. And certainly feel free to visit my website. It's cosmicqhht.com. I do past life regressions for groups if you're not into like the one-on-one stuff, but the one-on-one stuff is really like where the gold is, you know? It's where like
Yeah.
the magic happens. Yeah, and I offer all types of like classes locally if you're in the Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina area.
Mhm.
I definitely like to get out in the community and do things, but I also do things on Zoom. And really just I love, it's such a beautiful part of everything, really, like you said, releasing those patterns and everything is just so refreshing and lightning and everything. It's really an amazing part of it that I think is underutilized.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Thank you again for another fantastic conversation.
Thank you for
This was
having me.
awesome.
Yes, always.
Sojourners that have joined us this week, I hope you found some great value in this week's episode. And I hope that you'll join us again next week. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review or comments about things that you want to hear. Have a great week, everybody.